What is up guys, it is Simba here and welcome back to the channel for WOR. WOR is back for a second season and here we are for round 1 of the Bahrain Grand Prix. And here is the calendar for this season. 11 rounds once again. We're going to start in Bahrain, then go to Britain. We've got 3 very interesting races in Monaco, Vegas and Texas. And the season is going to end in China, which is a track I have not done before on this game. So a very interesting calendar filled with a variety of tracks, so it should be very challenging for all the drivers. We've got Mexico and Portugal as well. Mexico is a sprint weekend and I haven't really driven that track as well, so that should be interesting as well. And also, you've read the title, we have moved up to tier 2. As you know, we won the tier 4 championship and we have been moved up 2 tiers, so quite a jump for this league racing season in WOR. And our teammate is going to be the 4th driver on this list, Elite Risks, who we have raced before in SLR. So we have an all pad lineup, and as you saw in the intro, we're going to be in the Red Bull. So it should be a very interesting season, a very stacked grid as well. So it's going to be a very interesting season where we can definitely learn a lot. So if you guys are looking forward to this new season, make sure you smash the like button, hit the subscribe button for more league racing content. And if there's any other content you guys want me to make on the channel, make sure you let me know down in the comments below. I'd like to vary the content a little bit and I'd love to hear what you guys think of it. So here we are in Bahrain. I've done quite a bit of practice, but this lap has not been great with a 28.3. That was shit, mate. It was a mid 3. I did a 0.7 first. It stank. So first lap on the board, very honest, it was terrible. I did a 0.7 in the first sector, which is not very good. You wanted to be doing a 28.3 in the first sector in order to be competitive. And we're looking a bit more competitive on this second lap of this session with just 6.5 minutes to go. We're 2.5 tenths up as we go into turn 11. You can see we take it in 5th. I wanted to shift down to 4th gear, but we get good traction from the corner and up the hill for turn 12. Down to turn 13 we go now. It's a 6.2 in the middle sector. It's purple in the middle sector, which is something I don't really quite believe, but we've done a pretty solid job in the middle part of the lap. 3.5 tenths up as we come round to the final corner, as we need to jump up the order here. 4th gear, but we just skew wide. It's a terrible error to make, and we invalidate, and that is a 28.0. And you can hear my frustration in the background, because that would have put us at least P11, but we're down in P17, having not improved on that lap. And now we're getting ready for the last run of the session. We know we can do a good lap, but we just need to put it together now, and the pressure's on for one final lap. But as you can see, there are 2 cars in front of us starting their laps, and we're going pretty slowly through this back straight as I'm waiting for these cars to get a move on and get round the last corner to start their laps. So I don't want to get put off by anything, but by the time we get to the last corner, there's an Alfa Romeo right behind us. Oh shit. Oh wow. And we've held up BRT Lou. I've just blocked it in 4K as well. Who didn't put in a lap the whole session, so we've just ruined his entire qualifying session. And meanwhile for us, we missed turn 1 completely. We pick up marbles on the exit. Turn 2 is absolutely terrible. Yep. Very good. 18th. Brilliant. And we go off at turn 3, and that is the session over. We end up 19th, and it is not a good first session. And yeah, that second lap was basically what ruined the session. I feel like we could have done a 27.94, you know, if we didn't drop an extra 10th at the last corner, and that would have been enough for P11 or maybe even P12, but we're 19th on the grid. And it's a very competitive grid, as you can see, 8 tenths covering the whole grid. So getting that lap wrong was really what ruined it, and then blocking low as well is never what you want to do in any sort of league racing. So a disastrous session, not how we want to get off the board, and now we basically have nothing to lose as we're getting ready for the race. Everyone is going to be starting on the hards, a very popular choice across the grid. So now it's just a matter of how far can we get in this race. Let's get into it. 5 red lights ahead of the drivers. How far can we get in our first race in Tier 2? And WOR is underway here in Tier 2 in Bahrain, and it's a pretty decent getaway off the line as we are looking to settle down in towards turn 1. We can see we've got a pocket of space on the outside line. We're going to try and take it, but through turn 1.
Okay, that's cool. Okay. 2 cars are dead already.
We get pushed off the track by the AlphaTauri, who made contact with Cam in the Mercedes. So we've gained 3 places off the line, but now we're going to have to do some defending from Azara, looking to go down the inside of us, going into turn 6 and 7. We try and hold it around the outside, but we get it wrong on the curb, and now BRT Lou sneaks through as well, and we're down to P18. So we've only gained the 1 place. We do get a decent run out of turn 8, and we're going to see if we can try and challenge the Alfa Romeo around the outside, going into turns 9 and 10. Alonso went down the inside in real life. We're going to see if the outside works any better. We're still side by side with the Alfa Romeo, but in the end we don't really use the battery and we try and settle into the race. But there's a lot of carnage about to happen in front of us, as there is a lot of contact with a lot of cars. There's a Mercedes flying off at the exit of turn 11, and we've got a virtual safety car on the opening lap.
I'm up to 14th, mate. Some people just died. Some people just died at turn 11.
So, no idea what's happened there, but all we know now is that we've managed to gain 5 places on this opening lap. I was talking to my teammate, but you can't hear him. He's not really a fan of including the audio in the streams. So, yeah, that's me talking to my teammate Elite Risks, who had a much better qualifying than we did. He's probably in the top 10. And we're in 14th place, so we can definitely build on this for the rest of the race. And we're going to skip to the end of lap 2 because that's where we stay. We are in 14th place and we have a chance to settle down into the race. So, not a bad start. We should have been maybe 1 or 2 places higher if we didn't quite get turn 7 wrong on the opening lap. But now, here comes the Alpine again, looking to overtake us as Pico sets the fastest lap behind us. And I'm not really going to fight him here going in towards turn 1 because, as you can see at the top of your screen, DRS has been enabled, and with Bahrain it's quite hard to overtake, so DRS is going to be very crucial, and staying in the train is going to be key because that can play a part in strategy as well. So we're down in P15, but it is still a positive opening laps into this race, and the thing is, we're going to be learning quite a lot on the fly here as we've jumped up 2 tiers, which is quite the jump to make. So yeah, we're just going to be learning what our pace is like and comparing it to the rest of the field. But by the time we get to lap 8, we're still in the train, but things feel a lot closer together now as we go through turns 9 and 10.
This train is absolutely fucking ridiculous.
And you can hear me say that this train is absolutely ridiculous, and that's because everyone seems to be bunched up together now at this stage of the race, and you can see we have managed to save the battery very well. I will say that the race pace was actually really solid in practice, and it's showing here, which is really good. But the problem is you can see there's 2 cars in front of us going side by side through turn 13. So these guys in front of us are starting to get a little bit feisty at this stage of the race. The tyres have hit the drop-off point, and we just need to make sure we need to pick our moments.
Why is there a Haas rejoining the track at T15? Jesus Christ.
And you can hear me say that there's a Haas rejoining the circuit at the last corner, and that's because people are starting to fight each other for position. People are getting a little bit impatient as Pico looks to pass us. There's contact ahead.
Oh my, what, Pico, mate? Do you know what an apex is, bro? He's just missed the apex completely. And I didn't make the corner.
And you can hear me, I'm not happy one bit as Pico went down the inside at turn 1 and made absolutely no effort to make the corner and just push us off the circuit, which is just ridiculous. I didn't send it into the stewards because you'll see a bit later there's not much point doing so, as BRT Lou just let everyone through at turn 4. No idea why, but as you can see there's a lot of carnage going on, and unfortunately we didn't really come out the winner there, especially ESV Bobbert, who apparently had a lot of bad luck last season, and it doesn't seem to be changing for him here, as he was the McLaren that got spun round at turn 1. But now the problem is, with all this fighting and all this shenanigans going on in the first sector, we have now lost touch with the train, with the main train in the top 10. So it's really harmed us being this far down the order. You're just more likely to be.
Oh, I've lost touch with the top 10 with DRS.
caught in little collisions and moments, and you can hear me say there by lap 10, our train and that battling has caused us to lose DRS of the top 10 in front of us. So that has really ended our race, because now we're just going to be bleeding time to everyone ahead of us, as a few cars pitted pretty early. And on to lap 13, you can actually see us making our first proper overtake of the season on cam, down the inside into turn 1, and we're up into P11 now. So we're 1 place off the points, and I was thinking that we could catch the Haas of David Mixley in front of us, but unfortunately the gap stays at around 3 seconds. And nothing much happens, we just kind of keep going longer. You can see my teammate Elite Risks has boxed on lap 16. He wanted to try and overcut the guys around him, and as a result,
Simrox 1 takes the lead soon.
and you heard me there say, we take the lead of the Bahrain Grand Prix. Yes, I know, we haven't pitted yet. We're basically the last person to pit, but we actually lead in our first race of the Tier 2 season, which is not too bad. As we got to the end of lap 17 now, the in-lap wasn't great. You can see us drifting a little bit through the last corner, and we're going to box for a set of medium compound tyres to try and overcut those around us. And I don't really think we've had a strong end to this stint, I will be honest. We're losing about 3 seconds to the car behind on fresh mediums, as Cameron Dodds has been leading the way. So yeah, on to mediums we go, and we're going to see where we come out. I'm assuming that we'll be back towards the rear end of the field, because we're going to be the last. We've lost a lot of time to the cars around us who have crossed the line now, as fresh tyres is what you want on this game. So we're going to come out in P17, and now the main priority is sending it for the last 12 laps. And by the time we get to the next lap, which is lap 19, we catch up to the back of BRT Loon. Now the problem is, just like the last video in Qatar where we caught up to Merckx, we've caught him at a very unconventional part off the racetrack, so we can't just immediately pass him and get on with the job at hand. So we're going to have to lose time just sat behind him, and now we're going to try and pass him going into the last corner. I will admit that the racing IQ wasn't really engaged here, because as you can see, we've passed him before the detection point, which means he's going to repass us with DRS. And we're 3 seconds behind the guys that we're fighting near the beginning of this race. So Lou is going to come back at us and repass us going into turn 1. You can see we try and make sure he's ahead at the detection point so we can get DRS at the exit of turns 2 and 3. Nicely done on the traction. He is on older tyres, and we use the overtake button just to blast past him, because we don't want to waste too much time trying to fight a car on older tyres. So that is us up into P16 in this Bahrain Grand Prix, and now we can actually try and focus on catching the cars ahead, which is exactly what we're looking to do. So how are we going to do? So as we get to the end of lap 20, we have put in 2 red sectors, because, you know, not really having DRS has hampered that, but we put in a very good last sector, and it's a 31.4 as our personal best of the race. And by the time we get to lap 22, we've caught up to the back of 2 cars. We've caught up to Alex Marciano in the Williams. He was flashing earlier in the train before it was broken, and he's still flashing now as we go up the inside. We sneak our car up the inside into turn 4. He gives us the space and the respect. We give it back to him as we get our way past the Williams, and we are up into P15. And now I'm starting to feel pretty encouraged. We put in a personal best in the first sector, and these tyres are feeling quite nice. The pace on the mediums, I didn't do too much practice on these tyres, but it actually was pretty solid, as now we're looking to show that as we're looking to pass the Alpine, who was fighting us in the early stages of this race. As we don't get the best run through turn 10, we're going to use the overtake button and the DRS to power past him, and by the time we get to turn 11, we lock in the position. So we're up into P14 in this race, and the thing is, the cars in front of us, there are 4 cars in front of us on older tyres, so I was thinking that maybe we could catch them and maybe fight for a very unlikely point in this Grand Prix. But you can see we've cut to lap 29, and unfortunately that is not the case, and that is simply because we were lapping quite a few tenths faster per lap. But the thing is, having no DRS means that we bleed all the time back again on the straight, so we're basically gaining essentially nothing each lap as the tyres drop off as well. As yeah, not much happening in this race. Elite Risks, my teammate, did finish P7, and for us it was a solid first race with a lot to learn, and it is P13.
was actually a solid race, but it doesn't mean shit when you're qualifying. It's terrible. Like, if my quali wasn't so wank, I might have actually had a better chance to get points. Oh well, you live and you learn.
And you can hear a very honest summary of that race. It was quite solid, in my opinion. P19 to P13 is pretty solid. You can see we finished just 3.5 seconds off ESV Bobbert, who finished in P10. So we weren't a million miles off a point finish on debut. But like I said in that little honest review of the race, it doesn't mean anything when you're qualifying at the back of the grid. You know, we had to try and contend with a few drivers getting feisty midway through, and we lost DRS as well, which basically lost us. You know, we lost connection to the top 10, which made it even harder to get points. So overall, I'm not too mad about it. It's a learning point, but the main thing is we need to improve qualifying. I am streaming round 2 at Silverstone tonight, so check out the Twitch for that. And I hope you guys enjoyed this one. And as always, I'll see all of you in the next one.